Welcome to the Save Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Eric.
I'm Dominic.
We are currently on episode 135, and we have a very special guest today. We have Mike Welch, the 3M Tournament Director, which takes place July 22nd through the 28th. I should say the 3M Open Tournament Director. Mike, we've had you on before, and we really appreciate you taking the time. So thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Good to see you guys today.
Hey,
Yeah,
good to
you
see
as
you.
well. As Dom mentioned, we were playing the tournament, and he got a little bit of a sunburn. I can't really see it though, so I think you're all good, my friend. But
I can see it. Dude, I work with teenagers and college kids. They're gonna be like,
oh, they're
Dom, you have a
definitely going to
horn.
notice it. But yeah, as mentioned, the 3M Open is one of our favorite tournaments. Of course, it's here in our backyard, Minnesota, where we are located. It takes place July 22nd through the 28th. Mike, can you go ahead and just kind of maybe give us an update on some of the new exhibits and maybe some of the new players that have committed this year?
Yeah, boy, that's a lot. Just stop me if you want to talk more about anything in
Yeah.
particular. I mean, we've been talking about this for the last couple of years now, and it's ironic because we feel really good about our field, and we'll get into that. But we've always talked about how do we field proof our event? How do we have a PGA Tour tournament that is actually not predicated on the success of who's actually golfing in the tournament. And I know that sounds kind of weird and counterproductive, but if you go to the WM Phoenix Open, the golf is secondary. And I don't know if we're ever going to get that far over here in Minnesota. We are probably a little bit more conservative than going to a destination like Phoenix in the middle of February where everybody's probably trying to get out of the cold. But we are creating and want to create, an environment and atmosphere where we're additive to what the golf is. And so last year, we had the Stilly Party deck that was new on hole 18. And, we did things like the Grand Casino deck, which I think you guys did the podcast out of last year. And, just areas where you can enjoy yourself with food or beverage or just conversation. If you bring friends, family, clients, whoever that you might bring. And there just happens to be a golf tournament going on in the background. And so this year, that's we've enhanced a few of these areas like the Stilly Party deck. We've enhanced our landing zones. So you can go and sit on hole 18, 14, or 12 in a chair that you can go take home with you. Maybe that can be part of your background next year, Dom. And so like that might be, something that you want to do this year and just, forget that you're at a golf tournament, but still know that the golf's going on in the background. And so I mentioned this today earlier at Media Day, but the lab, which is what 3M's big activation is going to be this year, is going to take a step up from what they did last year with the Fan Hub. And they truly are going to bring, 6 unique parts of 3M science into the golf experience. And so when you go into that air-conditioned tent, you're going to just be immersed in 3M science and find out how the abrasives that are used, on things like the space shuttle can maybe also be used inside of the Callaway Paradigm driver and just stuff like that. That is just so crazy. And when you wrap your mind around it, you're like, really, that can do that dual use. So I think that is what you're going to see inside of the lab. And that just brings the title partner of 3M, their messaging to life. They do an incredible job of customer experience for their key clients and their key customers. But from a fan perspective, why is it important to know what 3M? Well, number one, it's important to know because you're never farther away than 10 feet from a 3M product. So right now I'm probably 4 or 5 feet away from my phone. If I went another 5 feet back, there's something inside of this phone that's a 3M product. There's something inside of the vehicle I'm sitting in that's a 3M product. And that just blows your mind when you think about it. And so 3M uses our tournament and specifically the lab to showcase that. And that's just really cool. There's a wonderful array of title partners on tour, but very, very unique in 3M that, yes, you can go buy Post-its or you can go buy command hooks or you can go buy the claw to hang something on the wall. But most of their products are not consumer facing and gives them the showcase and the opportunity to really highlight that. So, that's one around just new activations that are going to be there this year for the 3M Open. And, when it comes to field, Derek, like you asked, we just couldn't be more excited, sitting 3 weeks away from the first putt dropped, if you will, to have 34. That number has gone up by 3 players, by the way, since we last saw each other at about 3 p.m. 34 players in our field that have won a PGA Tour tournament over the last 2 years. And I can tell you that sitting here today, we haven't had a field like that with that sort of depth and just, status in our time here since, we started this just 5 short years ago. And so really, really cool to see that so far and getting commits, in the last 24 hours, like Sam Burns and Sahith Theegala and Justin Rose and Kurt Kitayama, Emmanuel Grillo was another one. Taylor Moore just committed. Like all these guys that have won tournaments here in the last year and a half, are going to go duke it out. And then, getting a chance to spend time with Lee Hodges today, like I know that you guys did, and seeing how cool of a dude he is. Like it's just so hard to root against any of these guys because they're just normal, like you and I. They just can hit a golf ball a really long way and putt it a lot better than the three of us can.
Well, I mean,
That's for sure.
hold on.
Yeah, you
Oh,
did,
yeah,
you did make the
I
Eagle
would,
putt
yeah,
at 18. Yeah, I know. You did.
well, no, not we were dropping them today.
Really?
But I
Okay.
do want
Dom
to,
Dom was especially. Yes, he was.
yeah, I do want to touch on the field. Because the whole time, obviously, at the like the media day event, you were talking about the field. How does the field come about? Are you guys reaching out to these players? Because as you were saying, now the 3M Open is incredibly important because it's one of the last tournaments right before the FedEx Cup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, are you reaching out to these players and saying, "Hey, come play," or are you interested, or how does all that work?
Absolutely. It's kind of a little bit of both. You know, so I'm sure you guys are familiar. There's basically a status, right, on tour. So if you're Scotty Scheffler, I think Scotty's having a pretty good year. If Scotty wants to play the 3M Open, he's number one on the list and he gets in no matter what. And if Scotty committed, he would bump out player number 156 on our list right now. And so that's kind of how it gets squeezes up or down, right? So um uh it's pretty full at the top, middle and bottom, right? And there's a number of players at the top that if they committed they would squeeze those ones down at the bottom. So yes, we're reaching out to those players to see what their plan is. There are a number of them that are on the fence. Again, a unique year in that, of course, before our tournament is the Open Championship at Troon, and then it's our tournament, and then it's the Olympics this year. So if you're one of those 60 that have qualified for the Olympics, you have a decision to make. Do you want to go from Scotland to Minneapolis and then back to Paris? There are some, by the way, that are going to do that. Or are you just going to go from Scotland to Paris and skip this year's 3M Open? And so I think, that's part of their choice that they have to make. Remember, these independent contractors, they get to pick their own schedule. They don't really have a boss unless it's their agent or their wife or maybe their caddy to really run this by. And they get to dictate their own schedule. That's the beauty of being an independent contractor, if you will, on the PGA Tour. So what we talk about when we talk to them about our tournament is we just reinforce. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a tournament that takes care of the players' families, and the caddies as well as the 3M Open does. You guys know this. Minneapolis in the middle of summer at the end of July is a fantastic place to be. There's a number of things happening, whether it's Lake Minnetonka, the Twins game, the Lynx games, anything where we can provide some opportunity for them to have a little bit of fun in between the 4 rounds on the tournament schedule. And do they think they have a really good opportunity to win? Is it a golf course that suits them? And I think everybody would tell you that TPC Twin Cities is a course that if you're playing well and you're hitting it well, it's a course that you can score well on and do well. But if you're off a little bit, and I was talking about this with Lee Hodges today, like you got a chance to, not do very well and become embarrassed because there's water on 13 of the 18 holes. And so I think that's put kind of what they're all weighing as they make this decision. And we're just continually checking in to see where they're at. What can we do to get your commitment? And we kind of just take it from there day by day.
Talking about the Olympics, Justin Rose is a gold medalist, correct? Didn't he win the gold medal? Or was it silver? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Didn't Xander
He won
Schauffele win
a
it?
medal.
Or maybe, yeah, I think maybe it was Xander. I know Justin Rose played in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I thought he won a medal, so I could be wrong. So I was just kind of going back to that, like just like the travel is absolutely crazy for some of those guys, like you said, going to Scotland to Minneapolis to Paris. Very, very cool. Can you tell us a little bit about where you can sign up? I know you had mentioned that kids that are 15 and under are free, which I actually didn't know that, which I think is very cool because going to a movie can cost $100 for one or two kids. We're a family, right? So I think that is a really cool benefit. It's another way to get the younger generation involved in the game of golf. Can you just talk a little bit about that and how that kind of came to
Yeah, I mean,
fruition?
we think we have a great opportunity for families when they come to the 3M Open. I mentioned earlier today, obviously we have the lab, kids 15 and under free, courtesy of Cub. One of the things I didn't mention at Media Day today, but the M Health Fairview, one of the great partners of ours, has the Family Care Center, and it's located inside of Fan Village. It's geared to all age. It's geared towards little kids, like if you need a diaper change, or little kids need to get out of the heat, like that's an area for them. If you're a 14 15-year old, like a couple of my boys, I'm not sure they're going to go in there, but unless they want to beat the heat, but like it's an awesome spot for families. And so I think that the fact that you can, if you're a family of four and your two kids are 15 or under, you can get in for $130 for you and your spouse or your partner, and you bring your two kids, and you can get food and all of that. To your point, like it's a reasonable day, right? And
Mhm.
you get to enjoy nature. We're big about getting our kids outside. And so I think you can, as a parent, you can just kind of check these boxes, like, is it entertainment? Are we outside? Are they being active? Because yes, they're walking the course. Like, boom, you got three boxes checked off when you think about how you want to spend a summer day with your family. And that's just, again, that's just really unique. And we're just excited to bring that to all of our potential fans when it comes to those that are really with families. And again, if you can do that in a cost effective manner, that's another great point. And again, by the way, the money that you are paying for your tickets, as I referenced today, a portion of that is going back to a charity. So if you see one of the 20 plus charities that we support and you're passionate about it, what another great way to spend your hard-earned dollars to giving it back to a nonprofit that you also support as well.
That's awesome. Um, the country artist Chris Lane you'd mentioned earlier too will be playing Saturday. That's right after the third round on Saturday. That'd be the third round. How do you get tickets? How many people are available that can actually sign up and show up there?
Yeah, so you just go to 3mopen.com, and you would click on tickets. Saturday, from the Saturday drop down, every one of our ticket options has the concert option. So you can just buy a fan pass, or you can package it up with the concert. We will be selling these tickets to the first 2,500 fans that purchased that ticket, because back in 2019, when we had a concert, it was over at the National Sports Center. And just talking to 3M and some of our other key stakeholders, we thought it was important to have it on course and to create that experience that it's at course. John Deere did that last year. A few other tournaments have done that on course. We just think it brings an additive feel to the experience. And so with that, we do have a limited amount of seats, and we think it's going to be a great area up there on the hill. We're going to have, Texas tankers with beverage. It's a 75-minute show, so you have a couple of drinks, enjoy country music on a beautiful Saturday night, and I think you're going to leave thinking like, okay, that was money well spent.
And is that going to be on the 18th hole, or where is that going to be at?
So Bellbank Champions Club overlooks the par 3 13th, the
Oh yeah,
14th tee box, and then hole 18, the fairway, the second shot.
sure. Okay. Well, that'd be a good time. Yeah, I think that's like you said, having it right on the actual property, just it kind of gives that extra little touch.
Yep,
Well,
no doubt.
like you said, it's, under $100. I think you said it was like $95. You get golf all day. You get a show afterwards, which is phenomenal. And like you said earlier, like you can't even take your kids to a movie for that price.
No.
So if your kids are a fan, boom, they get to enjoy golf, a beautiful day outside in July. It's gonna be hot, like it always is. And then you get to cool off with a nice concert. Like that just sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point. I mean, like, I have four boys. My 16-year-old and 14-year-old are huge Chris Lane fans. And so it was great for when we announced him, they were like, wow, that's cool. And, transparently, my kids are going to get in free anyways. I can figure out a way to get them in. But if they weren't, like what a great point that they can get a whole day event, and come see that concert. So we're really excited about that.
What about your food options? I know you have the Taco Libre truck out there, which was
Yep.
fantastic. Um, Red Savoy, Caribou. Those three, I'm assuming, are still going to be out there through the events. Is there any other new additions on the menu?
I'm excited. I
Uh,
don't want to spoil it, but that breakfast sandwich earlier,
Oh,
Sounds
yes.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that. That sounds so good.
Yeah, we Taco Libre is our new we have a new they're there this year. My
Okay.
Burger is coming. They're actually replacing Parlor, who we've had the last couple of years. I think Parlor had a conflict this year, but if you have it on My Burger before, they're amazing.
Mhm.
And then yeah, we've added a couple things in our concessions. One being the Lee Hodges breakfast sandwich, which is egg, sausage, pepper jack cheese on a croissant. Excuse me. No, yeah,
The
biscuit.
biscuit, right?
Excuse me,
Biscuit.
biscuit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got to remember croissant, biscuit, muff. Yeah, biscuit.
You got a lot
And
to memorize anyway, the way it
I
is. You
know,
got a
I
lot on
know,
your plate.
I know. And so, yeah, that's going to be awesome. We think, uh, I'm a huge breakfast sandwich guy. So, when we talked about having some type of food item, he was like, well, dude, I love breakfast sandwiches. And I'm like, done, say no more. So, I think another cool option for our fans. And if you're like me, you can have breakfast at any time during the day. So,
Yeah.
So are you gonna do that with every new champion unless Lee Hodges wins every single 3M Open event from now on? Like, are we gonna have a new one? Is it gonna be replaced, or is that kind of
you know,
down the line?
that's the goal. That's the goal. And I think I referenced it today. You guys might have seen Rocket did that with Ricky Fowler this year. We saw that. We're like, oh man, like, their tournament just happens before us. We've had this thing planned for literally 4 months since I spent the day with Savannah and Lee at the WM Phoenix Open. And yeah, so that's our goal. So if Lee wins it again, we'll probably ask him to think of his second favorite sandwich. But yeah, the goal is every year to have something new.
It's going to
That'd
be
be
a double biscuit.
There you go.
yeah, he'll just
There
make
you
it
go.
thicker every year.
Yeah.
There you go.
Um, so speaking of Lee Hodges, he is the 2023 champion. You'd
Defending
mentioned he
champion.
defending champion. There you go. Thank you. Seemed like a class act guy, just a super stud, nice guy. I mean, what does it mean to you to have someone like that representing the 3M Open as a defending champion?
Yeah, he's great. I mean, I'm glad that everybody got a chance to see sort of his personal side today. We brought him around, talked to you guys for a while, all of our partners. Just I don't know, just awesome to be able to spend time and have real conversations with our partners, ask him questions, and he answers everything. He hit a couple wedges. He actually hit a hybrid from like 230 to like 14 feet, fresh off the plane. It's just amazing to see that. So we love the fact that he's our champion. The fact that he wanted to fly in for media day. He missed the cut in Detroit at the Rocket Mortgage. He referenced that his grandmother actually passed away, so he actually went home to Alabama, went to the funeral yesterday, got on a
Oh,
plane this morning to come to media day, and now is in the car driving down to Moline, Illinois for the John Deere. So like you talk about a crazy schedule just so that he can fit in media day, I think just speaks volumes around what type of guy Lee is and how proud we are that he's our champion.
Well, and like you were saying at the lunch, you have amazing ambassadors, right? Whether it's Kyle Rudolph, obviously Randall McDaniel was there, and you're saying he does everything. Um, I can't remember who else there was other than Kyle Rudolph because I've met him.
Yeah.
He
Bradbury.
Garrett
Bradbury,
Bradbury
yep.
was there.
I didn't
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
him out there, which was fine. I don't think I'd recognize him either without a helmet and jersey on, to be totally fair.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what do those guys mean to you? Because whenever we talk about the 3M Open, there's always Josh Dumel, there's always Kyle Rudolph. Like
Mhm.
they're always there, right? How much does that help the 3M Open grow every year?
Yeah, like I said today, I think it just, when you have people that are a lot more famous than me, which by the way is not very hard to tell your story for you, that's really, really good. And not only those guys, but Roger Steele the last couple of years has been here for Golf for All Day. You guys obviously know the folks from Vibes Golf Club, and I talked to Noe today, and they're trying to figure out how to make that work again this year to come up for Golf for All Day because they have their own tournament the week before, and so they're kind of crunched for time. We have Blackballed Golf coming up for Golf for All Day this year. I feel good saying this. I think we got to still work a couple things out. But Mike Conley from the Timberwolves is probably going to come up for Golf for All Day and golf in our Wednesday Pro Am. If training camp did not coincide with our tournament because they started training camp a little earlier now, we'd have guys like Thielen, if he could, and Harrison
Mhm.
Smith and a few others. And so like you guys know this. Golf is the greatest connecting sport in the world, right? Every professional athlete loves the golf, most of them, and they all want to be professional golfers, right? And every professional golfer, like Lee Hodges today, was so, was so awesome to see Kyle Rudolph and Michael Floyd, who was out there, just to be able to ask them questions. And so there's a really nice mix there between the athletes and ambassadors that are for the 3M Open, and then, we have St. Andre Golf that just released their first video today. They came out last week, and they're going to be here for 3M Open week and probably do the Pro-Am. So like, we're playing in that golf meme space, if you will, that helps us attract that non-core golf fan. We have the athletes, we do a good job on the media side and the podcast side. So I think we're doing the right things to just continue to spread the word around why the 3M Open is the summer event to be at. And like I've been saying this every year, every year we get a little bit better, a little bit bigger. None of these great tournaments were built in the first 5-6 years. You just create a foundation and then you add on every single year. And we feel like we're doing that. And, there could be a time where we're sitting up 20 years from now and whoever future Mike is saying the same thing that whoever future Derek and Dom is around, hey, it's the 26th year of the 3M Open and, we got so-and-so this year. So that's what it's all about.
So I guess that leads me to my next question, because I'm glad you were kind of talking about building a foundation and that it doesn't just, these things don't just happen, right? You got to grow it. It's a whole thing. In many ways, it's like a child, right? Like this is in some ways your baby, granted much younger than your kids. So congrats for another one. Um, do you have any advice for people, like Derek and I, for throwing tournaments, right? Like it's something we're trying to do. It's something that we're growing and learning about every year. What is something that like you would say to them or us even?
You mean like as far as like starting and continuing like a charity fundraiser, a golf outing, stuff like that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what we're doing, we call them shindigs. I don't know if we've ever spoken to you about them. Basically, what we're trying to do is just show people that golf is fun, it's welcoming, it is a beautiful sport, and this year it's at home in Minnesota, and we just want to show people that Minnesota is beautiful and that it is a great place to play golf.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, the whole what we do for Golf for All Day is kind of what you're talking about, right? It's an extension of what this is really about is like how do we introduce as many people to the sport as possible? And what's cool about that, especially for Golf for All Day, is we're taking it through the lens of making it culturally relevant, right? So like fashion is big,
Mm.
right? Music is big. I mean, you can't go find 1 out of 10 maybe that don't have a speaker on their golf cart anymore, right? Or music in some form or fashion with what they're playing golf. And even art, like which we introduce and crafts at Golf for All Day is becoming a big piece of what golf is. And it's not just, and I say this every year, it's not just an old white man sport like me. We're trying to get as diverse as we can in this sport, have more people of color play it, have more women play it, have more youth play it. And the only way that you can do that is show them what it's all about. The same token, from a business standpoint, like there is no better sport than golf because it just connects so many things. And you spend 4 hours with somebody learning about them, learning about their business. And at the end of it, you're like, do we just spend 4 hours together? Whereas if you're spending 4 hours in a boardroom, you're looking at your watch like, good grief, when does this end? And so I think that's what's so awesome about golf.
I agree.
Oh yeah, it's great. I didn't even know how like time got away from us. Um, at one point I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, it's already noon. Like I'm not a morning person, so me being there by 8 a.m. is kind of a miracle. Um,
Yeah.
me not being crabby at 8 a.m. is also a huge miracle. Um, so the fact that 4 hours went by and I didn't even realize it kind of blew my mind. It's one of those things where obviously I don't know who does the group pairings. I don't know if that's intentional, but us being with the 10K guys, we had a blast. I don't know who does that, but kudos to them. It was
Yeah.
phenomenal. Um, Probably one of the most fun rounds of golf I've ever played, other than like some like destination type spots, but
Awesome.
unreal.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to hear that.
And another thing too, I mean, we've had obviously a lot of rain the past month, which, isn't always a great thing for some businesses, but for the golf course, I mean, it was in pristine condition. So I'd imagine this has got to be one of the better years for for the tournament as far as
Yeah, I
conditions,
think
right?
we're happy with what it looks like. It was a couple weeks ago, it was really wet, and so it created some rough areas, but I think it's getting better. Just honestly, like I, I know it's supposed to rain here maybe a couple times in the next,
Hmm.
few days. After that, I would like that thing to dry out, to be honest with you, to get it as
Yeah,
firm and fast as possible. Um, so we'll see. We'll see.
yeah,
When everybody always asks, like, what do you pray for from a weather perspective? The first thing is no thunderstorms, right? Like
yep.
we're okay with rain showers because then you don't have to like evacuate, right? Like if you
Hmm.
get storms, like you got to evacuate. So I'm actually okay with like showers, but it's like no storms, sunshine, and then no like 95 and humid, right? And then,
Yep.
so if you can get, somewhere in none of those, like we're golden. And when you're firm and fast, the golf course sets up really well defensively against these guys who are the best in the world. And right, so Lee shot 24 under last year, which was far and away the best that we've ever had. The course was in pristine condition. Saturday and Sunday was dry. Winds were low. It rained on Friday night, so like it was set up to go really low. And Lee, who was hot as a pistol, was tearing it up. So yeah, I'll tell you what, if it's dry and it's fast, nobody's going to shoot 24 under. That's for sure.
I have a couple personal questions as far as just like your thoughts on the course itself. Dom, was there anything else tournament related that you might want to ask? I might have one other one tournament related. It's there. You'd mentioned an autograph zone. Where is the autograph zone?
So we'll have
So if
two of
anyone
them.
wants to go,
We'll have one right by the range, by the practice facility, and the second one will be right where the players leave hole 18 and go into the scoring area to sign their
okay,
card. And so that is where those two areas are for kiddos that want an autograph.
sure. Um, what is your favorite hole at TPC Twin Cities?
My favorite hole, boy, I have a couple least favorite holes. I know that.
That was going to be my follow-up question, so you
Okay,
certainly can answer that first
let
if
me
you'd
answer
like.
that. Let me answer that one first.
Sure.
Two, just I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I've ever parted. Two is hard, and not fun. Um, Nine is hard, really hard, and not fun. Three for us is relatively easy, but if you remember for the pros, it's actually a par four. They change it from a par five to a par four, so it's a 503-yard par. If it was a par four, that would be on the list, but it's not.
Yeah.
Uh, Two and nine for sure. Let me think of the back nine. 16 is just hard for me. That's the long. It's actually not a long par four. It's like 378. But if there's all bunkers on the left and there's water on the right, and it's just visually to my eye, it's just so daunting. So like I always struggle with that hole as well. For the ones that I enjoy, I like 11 on the back because it's a little bit longer, and even though I'm older, I still hit it pretty good. So if I can get a good drive, I'm usually set up pretty well. It's a huge green. It's hard to miss. So
Hmm.
11's pretty good for me. And then on the front nine, I would say my favorite on the front nine is hole six, the par five. Just a great golf hole. It's stinking hard, but like I don't ever go for it in two. It's just not in my bag. So I'm
Hmm.
usually laying up to like 90 to 100, and usually can hit a pretty good shot on that. I'll give you a piece of advice when you play there again. No matter where you hit it, everything just funnels and runs down to the left. So if you hit it on the right side and high, you'll be in a good spot, no matter where the pin is, unless it's on the top right. And if it's there, then just take your par and get out of there. So yeah, I would say 6 and 11 are probably my two favorite holes.
It's funny because
Dom,
I
what's your
hate
personal?
six.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, six. Yeah, yeah, like
I
six.
hate six. I don't like it. And then is
Yeah.
seven the one with like the walking path that splits the fairway?
Seven is the short par four, kind of up the
Yep.
hill with all the
Hmm.
bunkers. You either
Hmm.
Yep.
gotta try to go for the green or land it like on a postage stamp.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
I like how
both
you
give me
put that
anxiety.
post-it.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of those I
Uh,
just can't do. Favorite one? Oh God, what is that short par three on the front nine with the houses and then
Yeah. Four.
four? I love
Yeah.
four. Four is one of my favorites. Um, I missed it today. I don't know what. So I'm learning about my golf game. Um, we had Evan on from the Par Train a couple years ago now, and we figured out that Derek doesn't like greenside bunkers. I don't like hit irons off the tee. That's my thing. Can't do it. Don't like it. not gonna do it anymore.
Oh,
So
you
I
mean teed up irons with you're talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
teeing it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Hate it. Won't do it. I quit. Um, I love four, but now that I figured out that anxiety, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit tricky, but I love the challenge and I love the green and I love the scenery of it. It's probably one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
yeah, it is beautiful. It's a
I
great
think
hole.
18 and
18's
then
great.
16. Yeah. Um, I think that's all I have. I did want to pick your brain on what your thoughts are for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know you're a
Oh,
former
jeez.
Timberwolves, and
Man,
it's been an awesome run so far. So, what are your thoughts?
our family had so much fun with this year. Like, had 10, 11 games personally, which was just awesome. Enjoyed the playoffs. We were in Kansas City for one of my son's AU basketball tournaments the weekend of game 7. So we left Sunday from Kansas City at like 12:30 or 1, and we got back home in the beginning of the second quarter, game 7 in Denver. If you remember,
Yep.
we got back home, we were down 20. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, all of this, and I'm not even going to go, I'm not even going to go watch it. Like, we're down 20. So I went and mowed the lawn. And about
Oh
45
no.
minutes later, I'm done mowing the lawn. And my neighbor comes out and he goes, and he's a good buddy of mine. He goes, hey, you might want to go back in. We cut it to 6. And so I went back in. We're down like 2. That's when we went on the run. If you remember, went on the run, like a 12-0 run with Ant hitting the corner 3 to go up 10. And I went nuts. I'm running through my house. I go like bang the front door. I come back into the living room and I collapse to my knees and I'm sobbing like a little kid. I'm like, we are going to the Western Conference Finals. And like my kids are super excited. It was just an awesome, awesome experience. And just so happy for all those folks that I worked with that are still there that, just got to experience all of that. And, they had a ton of fun this year. If you remember, I was on the partnership side. So like
Yep.
being able to get like, Sprite for the presenting partner of the entire playoffs and have them activate through all of the skyways and, in the big atrium area, like was just so cool to see from a personal standpoint. And then just seeing how the community and the city rallied around it and, just like all of the gear, like everybody in a Timberwolves uniform or some type of unreal crossover hoodie that they make, like just so cool, man. And the good news is they're not going anywhere. Like
No.
they're going to be good for a long time.
The
Derek would
community.
text me as the game was going, and every time they'd be losing, he's like, "You gotta stop watching," and then I'd stop watching, and then they'd win, and then they'd start winning, and he's like, "Are you watching?" I'm like, "No, he told me not to." So I missed so much, and I blame Derek. But at the same time, maybe I'm bad luck. I don't know.
I so game 7 Denver. I contemplated going to the game, and I'm like, cause we have family in Denver, but like the tickets are super expensive. So my wife and I, we went to Runyon's downtown, and I think Dom, you actually texted me when they were down like close to 20 to that game, and I'm like, dude, you got to turn that off, man. And then same thing, like I wasn't in tears, but having a whole like bar restaurant just be so excited for a team. I mean, it's surreal to see the Timberwolves be playing in June. And it's we do have a really good basketball community. I think
Yeah.
Minnesota is a very good basketball community. We have a lot of talent. And like it was just so cool to see people wearing Timberwolves hats, shirts, whatever it might be. And yeah, Ant is the real deal. The Wolves, it's awesome. So but yeah, I wanted to pick your brain on that because I knew you are familiar with the Timberwolves. Dom, is there anything else that you might want to ask before we hop off?
Yeah. Who would be? I actually have two questions. One, who is your favorite player on tour right now? And don't say Lee Hodges because that's
Uh, you know, I I mean, I don't, I honestly don't know if I have a favorite player on tour because it's when you're in the industry, Tom, like
Mhm.
it's like you root for everyone and you root for no one, if that makes sense, right? Like,
Right.
um, I'll just say that I'm absolutely amazed at what Scotty Scheffler is doing right now. And I'm also just in awe of how he keeps it all in perspective, right? Like it's easy to, when you win like he has, become a different person or, um, I don't know, just like change your stripes, right? And like that dude is the same now as he was 4 years ago. just has a lot more money and a lot
Mhm.
more trophies. And I just appreciate that he's, and Lee said it today as well. He's like, I don't want golf to define me, who I am as a person, now as a dad, before as a husband. Like, I think athletes that can keep that perspective and realize that this is just a job. Like, again, for myself, like, I, I hope that like I'm not looked upon differently if our tournament does well and our revenues go up every year, or if we have a down year because of whatever, like I'm not looked upon differently because I'm still working as hard as I can. And I think athletes that have that perspective and do put in the work and don't really hinge upon what the end result is just really impress me. And I think Scotty um, is the epitome of that, right? And I would just say anybody else that promotes the game and is a fan of tournaments like ours that work really hard to put on the best product because they know that we're faced with circumstances like schedule that support our tournament and just do great things for our tournament. I'm a huge fan of as well, and that list is too long to talk about now. But I'm a fan, right? I watch it all the time. I follow it. I consume it. I talk to the players. I talk to their agents. Like it is a really, really good league tour. And when all of this gets figured out with, whatever's going to happen, the next piece to this, and there's a little bit more of a semblance of what that plan is, I think golf is going to be an incredible spot. And we're just happy to be a part of that. And looking forward to what it's going to look like when that's all said and done.
Yeah, it's exciting. Maybe exciting, but also nerve-wracking because like it's at this point it's unknown, right? Nobody really knows, which is kind of like the beauty of it at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the second question is if you could pick one golfer ever, who would you want to like your dream pick for the 3M Open?
That's an easy one, dude. Who do you think I'm going to say?
I kind of figured, but I wanted you to say it.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like I grew up loving Tiger Woods. I got into golf because of Tiger Woods. There's probably a million people in the Twin Cities that would say the same thing as I did. So like we'd have to plan for almost a million people at TPC Twin Cities. So yeah, I think that would be a game changer. Obviously, he would be amazing because he has got so many people involved in the game, and he's iconic. It's like if
Mhm.
the Wolves could have Michael Jordan come back for a game. I'm sure they would say, "Yeah, I would." Right? That
He could
would
still
be,
suit up.
yeah, that would be our pick.
I mean, I'd
I
rather
do.
have
I do
Kevin
have
Garnett again, but
that
just me
would.
being a
Yeah. There we
homer.
go.
He'll be
Yeah,
KG will be back at some point.
oh
I
yeah,
think that's gonna
I
happen.
I kind of knew you'd say Tiger, but I just wanted to hear you say it and like elaborate and because
Yeah.
that's who Derek would pick too. I know he's not in his head. I know.
Yeah. I do have one last question, and then Dom, you can steal it or take whatever. But one last question. So Lee Hodges has this breakfast sandwich. If Mike Welch had a sandwich that could make it
God.
named after, what would your sandwich consist of?
Mm. Do we ha- do? I don't think. Do we have Cousins subs up here?
Yeah, I
We
don't
have
know if
we
there are
have
too many around anymore, but there used to be several cousin subs. But yeah, I
because
don't I don't
Never heard
remember
of
obviously we
them.
have Subway, we have Jersey
Yep.
Mike's, right? Um, and listen, Subway's not a partner. I don't want you to think I'm bashing them, but like the meatball marinara sub at Subway. So at Cousin Sub, they have a meatball sub that I grew up on. That like honestly, I can just I the taste is in my mouth right now because it's just one of those things as a kid that you just remember. You guys,
Mhm.
that thing is heaven. So like, and my mom always made a really good meat loaf growing up in Wisconsin. That's where Cousin Subs are huge and based out of. So like some type of meat ball or meat loaf sandwich, I think would probably be my go-to, man.
Okay, I
Would
like
you
that
do an
answer.
open face and then like the gravy or the marinara on it, like an open face?
More the marinara, yeah, yeah. Probably now in my old age, I probably would go open face. I'm such a delicate flower right now. I'd probably fork that thing instead of grabbing it. Yeah, yeah. I think either way, and I might have to actually go hunt for where the nearest Cousin Subs is right after this call and go get me one.
There we go. Dom, you have one final question for
I
Mike?
do, and I'm very curious. You mentioned music today. In our part, we have music going the entire round. Um, what would your walk-up song be? Hole one, tournament. What are you walking up to?
So I, I'm really getting into country music because my kids are in it. We got Chris Lane
Mhm.
coming, but transparently, like I didn't really start listening to any country until 2 years ago. I grew up on the south side of Milwaukee, listening to '90s hip hop and R&B. I always say that you can take me out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of me. And so,
Mhm.
like,
Yes.
I would probably say, um, A Tribe Called Quest, Electric Relaxation would be my walk up song.
There we go.
That's old school.
It is old school. Tribe
Yeah.
Called Quest is legendary though.
Oh man. Yeah, that is my group. When it comes to like a rap group or hip hop group, they were so good. There's a great documentary if you've seen it, Beats, Rhymes, and Lives. It's probably 12 years old. It's so good. That's like one of my go-tos when I have nothing going on, which isn't very often, but I'll pop that on Apple TV and just watch that because the music is phenomenal.
Mike's gonna bump that heading over to Quiznos right after this.
So he's gonna
Cousins,
bump that going to
cousins,
Cousins.
Cousin
cousin
subs, not
subs.
Quiznos, cousin
See,
subs,
that's
man.
another one.
Yes.
Quiznos, if Quiznos listens
That's
to this, like I love you, come be a partner. But like, no, it's cousins subs, cousins.
cousin subs. Mike, man, we really appreciate it. We appreciate today too. Like I said, Dom had mentioned it before. It was one of our, better rounds that we've had with some new people, 10K takes. Big shout out to those guys too. We had a blast. So thanks again for everything.
And
Yeah,
thank
our
you for
pleasure, man.
allowing us to be part of the 3M Open in some capacity. Something Derek and I are really happy and kind of always have our breath taken away for being a part of this. So thank you
Yep.
so much. You and your staff are incredible. Everybody on the course and runs the event are incredible.
Yeah, appreciate you guys and appreciate you just covering us and spreading the word. Again, we don't build this thing without help from partners like you year over year, just continually telling people how awesome our event is. And again, there's gonna be one day where we actually are putting on our website, tickets sold out Thursday through Sunday, and everybody's got to watch it on TV because they didn't get their tickets quick enough. And so,
That's the
don't know
goal.
when that happens, but it's coming.
Yep.
That's the goal.
All right, buddy, man. You have a yeah.
All
We'll
right,
see you. We'll see you soon here in the next couple weeks.
sounds good, guys. Take care.
Good luck with everything. Yep. Take
All right,
care.
see y'all. Bye bye.
See ya.